Welcome to Master Beers. My name is Matt. We do the beer stuff here. With a bit of foam up in this piece. Exciting foam beer in the form of the local Dork. Love that can art. This is a Champlain Valley hopped Chinook fresh hop. India Pale Ale coming at 7% alcohol by volume. So you're talking about a Vermont single India Pale Ale. I'm assuming this is all, maybe not all, Champlain Valley ingredients. It doesn't say anything about grains in here. It just says they're collabing up with Champlain Valley hops for this all Chinook variety. And they got that kind of, I don't know, the farmer daughter kind of thing going on there. But yeah, I dig on me some foam. Especially, at first I thought they definitely had can issues with their beers when they originally came out, but it seems like they've got everything kind of locked down now. So whenever I see their stuff, I usually pick it up, and I can get a wide variety of foam stuff by me. Label wise, I always dig their art. I always dig that they do the contour cut label, something about it. I'm always a fan. And as far as the beer goes, it's kind of what you'd expect from. They call it an all Champlain Valley fresh hop, so I assume it's a wet hop IPA. I could be wrong with that, but those beers tend to skew just a skosh darker than a typical New England style hazy. And this has that little bit of slight erring towards a little bit more darkness to it. No problem with that. It's kind of what we expected. Half a pinky finger, super tight, kind of silky head to it with this kind of soft haze to it. It's not like super turbid. I mean, obviously it's hazy, but you could probably see my finger kind of rolling in behind this sucker. But yeah, it looks the part. Looks like a chuggable 7% hazy, if that means anything. Give it a whirl. Let's give it a nose. Not a huge nose on this. Not a huge nose, but an interesting nose. And an interesting nose in a couple ways. When I think of Chinook, I think of, old school hops. I think of something that's a little bit green, a little bit West Coast, a little bit mean mugged. This, to me, smells like it has a little bit of a minty characteristic to it. Not hating on it. Did not expect that to actually come through. And you get this kind of graininess from it, where the malt bill comes off as grainy as opposed to just straight up like a brewer sugar dextrose kind of drop out all maltiness kind of thing. Almost like a little spelty vibe to it, but I doubt that's in there. I think that mainly you have this kind of fresh hop Chinook that's showing an interesting way, kind of buoyed, kind of, up there, held up there, propped up there by a nice kind of malt base to it. I'm kind of interested where this tastes. Again, like I said, not a huge nose, not a 2x4 to the face of it, anything crazy, but interesting nonetheless. Let's dive in. Cheers, y'all. It tastes to me like a local ingredient beer. And I know that kind of doesn't give you a lot of information to go on, but for me, local ingredient beers tend to do a couple different things. And it's mainly the hops and the malt. And that the malt actually comes through. Like I said, it's just not a brewer sugar thing. You actually get this kind of like slightly nuttiness characteristic, a little bit the way the grain kind of comes off, and it just has a little bit more heft to it than a typical dropout all maltiness kind of hazy New England style IPA. And on the hop side of things, again, not 2x4 to the face, not expressing a ton of fruit here. We're getting a bit of citrus, you're getting a bit of pineapple, you're getting even a touch of tropical fruit, very, very mild here, especially for a 7% IPA, but it is that little bit of, for lack of a better term, pizzazz outside of the fruit portion show, which again, I don't think mintiness is probably the most apt descriptor. Or maybe I lack it, but it has that slightly, again, I'm not saying this as a negative, medicinal like kindness to it that I actually kind of dig when it comes to hazies. When you give me this spearminty, minty, kind of something like that, I really do dig on it when and hazy IPA. And you're getting a bit of that here. Again, everything here is tempered. Nothing here kind of screams 7%. It comes off for me more like a 6% beer. When you flip the script, when you understand you're drinking something that is more a local ingredient beer, you just don't have these ultra cultivated, ultra massaged kind of, Yakima Valley, New Zealandy hops, things like that. It's cool to get that different expression because I believe if you take your classic a Chinook from a classics provider of hops, you get something that's a little bit more West Coast, something that's a little bit more orangey, something that's a little bit more traditional. With this, a bit more tempered in the fruit side of things, but then you have that added little bit of that little, what I'm calling a slight medicinal minty characteristic that I, again, not in a negative way, I think adds something to this beer. Throw in that elevated little bit of graininess in there. It's slightly nutty characteristic. It makes for, again, not a wet hop beer, but just a local ingredient beer. Hopefully that translates for a lot of you out there. Hopefully you've had enough to where that makes sense to you. Where what you do, you're working with ingredients that aren't, I don't want to say homogenized, but it's like they're so cultivated in a specific way. You're getting a bit of variance here. In a very fun way, I dig this beer. I actually dig it quite a bit. It's not going to blow my mind. It's not going to be a Mount Rushmore status, a hazy IPA, yada, yada, yada. But I like it. I like the twist. I like the change. I like that little bit of a zig to a zag. I'm here for it. I dig it. And it's really well made. There's nothing here as far as negative. No off flavors, no diacetyl, none of that stuff doesn't really come off oxidative or anything like that. It just has this really fun kind of local ingredient, wet hop-esque kind of vibe to it. I'm here for it. There we go. Reviewing the books. Let's talk about it. Mount Rushmore says Hazie IPA. No, but it's in the mix of one of the better ones I've had. More interesting ones, even higher. Value availability. Foam for me. It's gonna float anywhere depending on the beer style. $15 to $19 for a 4-pack. So that's what these cost. Off the shelf, and leave you with. If you like what you like this. If you like, again, twists on traditional hop styles, you like local grain, local ingredient beers, and you like wet hop beers and the vibes that those give, I think you'll really dig this, especially if you dig on hazy IPAs, but are like other styles and are not just fixated on just it has to be drop out all bitterness, zero malt bill, hop expressive craziness, fun beer. And if you dig on that little thing I call minty-esque medicinal in your hazy IPA, you don't find that often. You're going to get it here. So there you go. Reviewing the books. Hopefully enjoyed. Massive Beers, if you want to check me out in the social media stuff, there, massive podcasting stuff and phone. Have you been to the brewery? Have you had their beers? Have you had this beer? If you have, what is your experience with this? All that fun stuff down there. Hopefully you guys enjoyed our review. Hopefully you're enjoying fun haze right now. Hopefully see you next time. Cheers, y'all.